Welcome back to another Spot On chat. I'm Rebecca Monet with Zorakle Profiles. Zorakle provides profiling tools for franchisors and franchise consultants that helps facilitate a right fit between a prospective franchisee and a franchise concept. So I have back with me again the Director of Expansion at Nextdoor Photos, Mr. Aaron Mason. Thanks for coming back, Aaron.
Absolutely.
So we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
You're of a millennial generation,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not just a millennial. You are in a leadership role, and you were
Yeah.
in a leadership role in the corporate environment, and now also with Nextdoor Photos. So
Yeah.
talk to me about what it's like to be a millennial
Hmm.
in business and a
Yeah.
millennial in a leadership role.
Yeah. It's a good question. Thank you for asking that. Um, I think I had a fairly fast growth through kind of my career early on in my 20s and early 30s, and got to kind of director level fairly fast. I found myself as the only director level person in a 2,000 person nonprofit, actually. And I would routinely get kind of called up to explain technology and different things like that. Not that I'm a technology guru, but I was the only one under the age of 55 in the room. So,
Wow.
so it was this interesting kind of square peg, round hole, almost a little bit of like, man, the structures aren't built for people my age quite yet. And the conversations were completely different. And so it was interesting. I was told, and this was something that kind of came up in a few different conversations. I was told early on, you should get an executive coach or join like a CEO roundtable, those type of things. Like there's a lot of those happening. And interestingly, I didn't see anyone my age in those demographics. And so it felt very like, well, I don't know that I want that information. But largely my generation is kind of, we're just not quite at that table yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have become fairly passionate, I guess, about giving opportunity to millennials and people in that age group to own and operate businesses and learn leadership skills and be developed and have a seat at the table. And so, interestingly, at Nextdoor Photos, the average age of our local owner is 28. So
Wow.
we are empowering this next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners who may not have $150,000 liquid and $100,000 to invest, right? Which is totally viable in many, many franchise opportunities. In ours, it's $27,500 to launch. A large reason of that is because we are a joint venture partnership, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit different. We kind of share the costs, but we also, if that's going to be kind of some of the demographic we want, how do we provide opportunity with removing some of that hurdle of the economic, disadvantage of being 28 and not having $100,000 in the bank? So I think one of my big passions is to provide opportunities. But interestingly, now I just turned 36 last month, and I'm much closer to the 40s and 50s. And so it's like, I start to kind of realize I don't necessarily identify with a 22-year-old
No.
anymore at all, in fact. And so, I think, leadership and leadership development within the millennial generation, we're starting to get a little older. I mean, I've got 14 years experience in various roles. And so I would like to encourage other companies, pull on that generation of people, bring some of them into director level or higher management to speak into it, because we see the larger portion of the employment right now in America is starting to skew towards the millennial generation. And so if you're going to speak to that generation, you got to have some of them at the table at the top.
I like how you described it. Bring them to the table, let their voices be heard, know that they're going to feel awkward initially,
Yeah.
but if you encourage it, it's there. And I also like the advice you're giving. We're in the psychographic assessment business,
Mm-hmm.
and what was fascinating to me about Nextdoor Photos was how really it's the younger person that does so well. When we did the top performer blueprint for you, there are
Mhm.
young people that are
Yeah.
successful. So they have what it takes. But as a franchisor, as a business opportunity,
Hmm.
we need to rethink how we work with them. So this
Yeah.
idea that you have and successfully executing on this joint venture partnership where you're
Hmm.
sharing in the risk, you're sharing in the responsibility,
Yeah.
you're able to reduce the upfront cost and at the same time help them create this work-life balance that millennials
Yeah.
are looking for, and a desire to impact and a desire to grow a business is built right into your model.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see other franchisors look at that kind of a model, because
Yeah.
franchising, in my opinion, is about 20 years behind other
Mm.
scenarios.
Yeah.
And it is designed for that 49 to 52-year-old
Yeah.
man or woman. It's not as designed for the younger. So I do want to encourage other companies to
Yeah.
consider uh, bringing them to the table, as you pointed
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and B, considering ways where you can joint venture
Yeah.
and build partnerships, because millennials seem to enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think millennials, obviously we get a bad rap, and it's true, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are definitely people in my generation. Yes, we get a bad rap. I mean, but the fact of our generation is, and we talked about this earlier in a question, is we're no longer just motivated by money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we legitimately want to see things done well, done excellently. But I have plenty of friends, and I've even done it. I've left the company because of poor practices or focus on a lack of work-life balance. Just climb the ladder, put your nose down, do it. And when you stand up to ask a question, it's just the party line. Here we go. And so I believe that my generation just looked at it and just said, "Nah, we saw that didn't work." Largely for some of our parents, right? Some of
Right.
our parents got squashed in the recession. And so we're sitting there like, hold on, work at the same company for 30 years and retire. We want to see impact. We want to change culture. And so,
We want
yes, I agree.
flexibility,
We want
right?
flexibility. There is some immaturity, and I'll be the first one to say that there's some immaturity in our ranks for sure. But I think what we're demanding of companies and of the people we work for and of the structures and the way that we're building businesses now, I think what we're requiring, or else we'll go find it,
Right.
is actually kind of a cool renaissance and a new thought process of how to build businesses and care for people at the same time. And so I think, even if it's a long-standing company with really well-defined structures, build some really innovative tracks within your company and you'll attract millennial talent that way. But it's probably going to have to be a little bit shifted from your old, structures that you found that works. But if you add an innovative track in there, and I think that's largely why we see the influx we do. It's fairly innovative. It's a little bit different. It's a crazy little model.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lower upfront cost, which is, I think, a huge thing. But millennials, we got crushed by college debt. And so
Mm-hmm.
we see that as a hurdle for my generation as well. They might look at it and go, well, it's only $27,500, but I've got $55,000 worth of college debt. So
Yeah.
adding more, I don't know. And so we've got to work on that as well. We've got to make sure that we're able to be nimble with our model as well. But yeah, I mean, we've seen really good success. And I should say, Rebecca, that's our average age, but we have some really great outliers. We've got people
Yeah.
in their 60s running next door photos locations, successfully having a blast. It's kind of third career type thing. And so, we run the gamut all the way across. But certainly we see a lot in that age group.
Yeah. I like it that opportunity is there, and hopefully others will listen, that segment of the market is the up and coming,
Sure.
and they have particular needs, and there are ways to address them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue that I've had, because I'm a boomer,
Hmm.
with some millennials I've worked with, I'm seeing it less as they mature, because like you
Right.
said, I think there's a
Right.
maturity
There is.
that's going on. I hired a young man, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago, millennial, for some web development.
Hmm.
And he was prancing around the conference room talking. First off,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a weird conversation.
Why are
Why
you
aren't we
moving?
sitting down? Why are
Yeah.
we moving? We're having this
Yeah.
conversation. So
Yeah.
first that was kind of weird. He's
Yeah.
prancing around. And then he starts to lecture me that this world would be so much better if the baby boomers would just step down and let the millennials take over, because we are not innovative at all.
Yeah.
And we're stuck in our
Wow.
ways. And he started just
Wow.
going on and on and on and on. And of course, I'm a behavioral scientist. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
relax. He's young,
Yeah.
whatever. He does know I'm hiring him, and I'm a boomer.
Yeah.
Clearly he can tell I'm a
Yeah. Yeah.
boomer. Right. But it was just an arrogant,
Yeah.
egotistical kind of
Yeah.
report. And then I asked him to show me a little bit what he's doing with the plugins and
Yep.
the website, and he goes, oh, you're just not going to understand. I mean, this
Sure.
is way beyond you. I'm like, I'm in the software business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been
Give
creating
it to me
software since
straight.
I
Yeah.
just my brain, just because I'm old doesn't mean I'm stupid. Right.
Right. Right.
Right.
And
Kind of.
that would be some of the millennial uncontrolled passion that just, it's just coming
Yes.
out. They're so passionate. They want to see the world change. And there doesn't have to be this rub and like banging of heads between generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so even in Next Door Photos, our CEO is in his 50s, 20 some years experience in the automotive engineering space. I mean, brilliant guy. And he largely runs now with a bunch of millennial leaders. And I've heard him say, this is the hardest management I've ever had to do,
Of
but
course.
it's also extremely rewarding. I think he's helped unlock a lot of the things within our team as well. And so, yeah, unfortunately, there will be plenty of
Oh.
boomers that have probably had that experience with a
Mhm.
millennial. And so hopefully I'm just kind of standing up and saying, we're not all like
And we're
that.
not all like that. But I think you're
Yeah,
right. Some of it's probably
yeah,
maturity. I'm
absolutely.
sure as at that same age, I
Yeah,
was probably also arrogant and had a chip on my shoulder and thought I knew it
sure,
all. I think the
sure.
only difference was we would have been knocked to, the other side of the room
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
would have
yeah,
disrespected our elders. But he,
exactly.
like you said, I don't think he truly saw it as disrespect.
Yeah,
He saw it as, you can't understand this. This is beyond me, because I have all these wonderful talents, and there's no way
right,
you could have it because you didn't have an
right.
opportunity to have it.
Yep,
So
yep,
so him, it was a different place than it was for me. But it is generations coming together, accepting each
yeah,
other's raw talents and
yep,
experiences, and finding ways to work together.
absolutely.
Oh, what a great conversation, Aaron. Thank you for sharing your heart as a
Yeah,
millennial.
absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate it. I'm going to have you back for another Spot On chat.
Great.